In the vast, unforgiving desert of what is now modern-day Jordan, a clash of titans was about to unfold. This wasn't just another battle for territory or treasure. This was a confrontation that would echo through the annals of history, a story of unwavering faith, impossible odds, and legendary courage. This is the story of the Battle of Al-Muta. The year is 629 CE, the 8th year of the Hijra. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had been sending envoys to neighboring rulers, inviting them to the message of Islam. One such envoy, Al-Harith ibn Umayr al-Azdi, was dispatched with a letter to the ruler of Basra, a city under the influence of the Byzantine Empire, but Al-Harith would never reach his destination. He was intercepted and executed in the village of Muta by Shurabil ibn Amr al-Ghassani, a local chieftain allied with the Byzantines. In the diplomatic customs of the era, this was an unforgivable act, a declaration of war. The news of this outrage reached Medina, and the response was swift. The Prophet Muhammad assembled an army of 3,000 men. This was a significant force for the early Muslim community, but they were about to face an enemy of a completely different scale. The command of this army was structured in a unique way. The Prophet appointed his beloved adopted son, Zayd ibn Haritha, as the first commander. He then gave a clear line of succession. If Zayd is martyred, then Jafar ibn Abi Talib will take command. If Jafar is martyred, then Abdullah ibn Rawaha will take command. This foresight was a somber acknowledgement of the immense danger they were about to face. As the Muslim army marched north, they began to gather intelligence that was nothing short of terrifying. Their intended target, the small Ghassanid force, was not alone. The Byzantine Emperor Heraclius himself was in the region, and he had marshaled a colossal army to confront them. Historical sources vary, but estimates place the Byzantine and their allies' numbers anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 soldiers. Imagine the scene: 3,000 men, mostly on foot, preparing to face a professional, heavily armored imperial army that outnumbered them more than 30 to 1. Upon learning this, the Muslim commanders held a council of war. Some argued for a strategic retreat to return to Medina and ask the Prophet for reinforcements and guidance. It seemed like the only logical choice against such impossible odds. But then Abdullah ibn Rawaha stood up and delivered a speech that would ignite the hearts of the soldiers. He reminded them that they did not fight for numbers or strength, but for their faith. He declared that they sought one of two glorious outcomes: victory or martyrdom. His words struck a chord, and with renewed resolve, the small army of 3,000 decided to advance and meet their destiny at Muta. The battle began. The vast plains were filled with the glint of sun on steel as the two armies collided. Zayd ibn Haritha, holding the white banner of the Prophet high, plunged into the heart of the enemy lines. He fought with incredible valor, a beacon of courage for his men, but the sheer number of enemy soldiers was overwhelming. Surrounded and pierced by enemy spears, he fell as a martyr, the first of the appointed commanders to fulfill his destiny. Without a moment's hesitation, Jafar ibn Abi Talib, the cousin of the Prophet, rushed forward. He snatched the banner before it could touch the ground. Jafar was a legendary warrior, and he fought with a ferocity that stunned the Byzantines. He dismounted his horse and hamstrung it, a symbolic act showing he had no intention of retreating. He charged deep into the enemy ranks. His right hand, holding the banner, was severed. He quickly grabbed it with his left. When his left hand was also cut, he held the banner to his chest with his arms until he too was overcome and fell as a martyr. It is said that his body was later found with over 70 wounds, all on his front, a testament to his refusal to turn back. The banner was now in danger of falling. At that moment, a man named Thabit ibn Arqam grabbed it and shouted for the Muslims to rally around a new leader. Their eyes turned to Abdullah ibn Rawaha, the third commander. For a brief moment, Abdullah hesitated. The weight of command, the sight of his fallen comrades, it was a heavy burden, but he quickly admonished himself, recited poetry to bolster his courage, and took the banner, launching himself into the fray. He too fought bravely until he met the same fate as his predecessors, honored in martyrdom. With all three designated commanders fallen, the Muslim army was on the brink of collapse. Panic and disarray began to set in. Seeing this, Thabit ibn Arqam, still holding the banner, searched the ranks for a capable leader. His eyes landed on a man who had only recently accepted Islam but was already renowned for his military genius. "Take the banner, O Khalid," he cried. This was Khalid ibn al-Walid. Initially, Khalid hesitated, feeling he was too new to the faith to lead men who were companions of the Prophet, but the urgency of the situation was undeniable. The survival of the army rested on his shoulders. Accepting the command, Khalid's brilliant military mind immediately went to work. He knew a direct confrontation was suicide. His goal was no longer victory, but survival to save the army from annihilation. That day, Khalid's defensive strategy was masterful. He reorganized the lines, fighting a fierce rearguard action to hold off the Byzantine tide until nightfall. The respite of darkness gave him the chance to implement a brilliant plan. He ordered a small detachment of cavalry to ride away from the camp into the hills behind them. The next morning, he completely rearranged his army's formation, swapping the right flank with the left and the vanguard with the rearguard. As the sun rose, the Byzantines prepared for their final assault, but what they saw confused them. The faces of the soldiers in front of them were different from the day before. Then, as the fighting began, they saw Khalid's detached cavalry riding in from the hills, kicking up a massive cloud of dust, shouting battle cries. The illusion was perfect. The Byzantines believed that the Muslims had received massive reinforcements overnight. They had fought for days against this small, tenacious army and had suffered significant casualties themselves. The thought of facing a fresh, larger force was demoralizing. Their will to fight began to waver. Sensing their hesitation, Khalid did not press the attack. Instead, he executed a slow, organized, and deliberate withdrawal. The Byzantines, wary of a trap and believing they were facing a larger force, did not pursue with any real conviction. Khalid ibn al-Walid had outmaneuvered a superpower. He successfully disengaged his entire army from an impossible battlefield and led them on the long journey back to Medina. He had saved the army from certain destruction. Back in Medina, the Prophet Muhammad, through divine revelation, had been narrating the events of the battle to his companions as they happened. With tears in his eyes, he announced the martyrdom of Zayd, then Jafar, then Abdullah. He then told them that the banner had been taken up by a sword from the swords of God, bestowing upon Khalid ibn al-Walid the title that would define him for the rest of time, Sayfullah, the sword of God. The return of the army was met with mixed reactions in Medina. Some, not understanding the impossible odds they faced, threw dust at the soldiers and called them runaways, but the Prophet defended them, clarifying that they were not runaways but were withdrawing to fight again. He praised Khalid's strategy and honored the sacrifice of those who had fallen. The Battle of Al-Mu'tah was not a victory in the traditional sense. The Muslims did not conquer territory or defeat the Byzantine army, but in another, more profound sense, it was a monumental success. It was the first major encounter between the nascent Islamic State and the Byzantine Roman Empire. The fact that a small army of 3,000 could hold its own against a force of over 100,000 and then successfully withdraw, largely intact, sent shockwaves throughout Arabia. The courage of Zayd, the sacrifice of Jafar, the resolve of Abdullah, and the genius of Khalid became legendary tales. It announced to the world that a new power had arrived, one that fought with a conviction and discipline that could not be measured by numbers alone. It set the stage for the future, proving that faith and strategy could in fact challenge an empire. The battle was a costly lesson, but one that forged heroes and laid the foundation for a legacy that would change the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this story of courage and faith inspiring, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into history. Let us know in the comments what you found most incredible about the Battle of Mu'tah. Until next time.